Welcome back to the AK Mindset Podcast, where we talk about your mindset, your goals in life, how to improve emotionally, and also how to improve on your social media marketing and your business if you're trying to grow it. These few episodes, we're going to be doing more about the mindset and the emotional stuff. And later on, when we include guests, of course, we're going to talk about the marketing, the TikTok, and how it improves people's careers. So, all I want to say is also thank you. Thank you so much for the feedback on last episode. If we want to talk about numbers, the podcast did absolutely terrible. It did terrible. The numbers, what I expected, I thought at least a few hundred or maybe 1,000 plays, but don't expect anything. So that's what I learned, because if you're looking at the numbers, I did terribly. But if you're looking at the feedback and what people were telling me who actually listened, they actually liked it. They said this was an actual good podcast. Like, you had an interesting topic that nobody actually talks about and stuff like that. So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, whoever you are. The few tens or the 20, 30 people on Spotify who listen to me, thank you so much. And the 100 people that viewed my podcast on YouTube, thank you as well. I appreciate all the feedback and that you listen to it, that you upload it on your stories. If you upload this podcast onto your Instagram story and at me, at Adrian Kreitzer, I will repost you and thank you, and we can talk about something. Like, my DMs on Instagram are always free. So if you need anything, if you want a topic to be talked about on this podcast, just let me know. Just let me know. And we made 2 whole sales on my AK Mindset podcast, or 3 if you're including me. So soon you'll see me with the AK Mindset podcast merch, but it might not, this might be limited edition, because if nothing else sells like this month, I have to turn off the website because I'm paying money for that. Anyways, this episode, what I want to talk about is alcohol. I'm a true Balkan man. I'm from Croatia, and we love our alcohol, and I'm actually going to praise it, not to a point where I want to make you an alcoholic, but I feel like alcohol is good for you. Well, alcohol is great for you if you want to find yourself, if you want to find a piece that's missing from yourself. And now you're looking at me like, Adrian, are you what are you talking about? You're crazy. No, I think alcohol, well, not alcohol, but like when you're drunk, that's the part that's missing from your mindset or from your emotional state that you're not actually giving. You're not considering that emotion that you are when you're drunk. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to talk about the first emotion, which is closely to me because I know this is the way I'm drunk. So first, I'm going to talk about the emotion when I'm drunk, and then go on to other emotions and explain how, because there's so many other different emotions when you're intoxicated, but you're usually the same old all the time. It never changes. You're always going to be the same one when you're drunk. But you're not going to be different. You're not going to be one time aggressive, one time emotional, and one time mean. You're just going to be always that one emotion. And I know why. Because that emotion is missing from you're not focusing that, you're not trying to improve that emotion in your real life when you're not drunk. That's what I want to say. So when I'm drunk, I say sorry to everyone. I love everyone. I want to hug everyone. I'm emotional. Sometimes I cry. Not very often, but I do cry sometimes. And I just want to express my emotions, give people how I feel. I want to spread happiness when I'm drunk. And before I thought, okay, cool, but everybody said oh, why can't you be like that all the time? Why can't you be the drunk Adrian? I'm like, damn, you guys really don't like me when I'm not drunk and stuff like that? No, I just think that part was missing from the actual me, because the actual me needs that, because before I realized that, and I'm still working on it, but before I realized that, I was an emotionless, self-centered, and just focusing on myself, not caring about other people's emotions, and putting myself first. You should put yourself first in many aspects, especially when you're young, when you have the opportunity to do that. But in a bad way, where I don't think about other people or my actions. So that's why I was always considered, I was cool, but I was very mean and stubborn. So, and I was always wonder, why do people like me when I'm drunk? Because I'm not mean or stubborn. I'm just happy, love everyone. I want to hug everyone, and it's just a burst of emotions. I don't like emotions. Well, I used to not like emotions. I would never want to cry. I don't like cry. I didn't like crying. I didn't like showing affection. If you have a problem with showing affection, you're probably going to show affection when you're drunk. And that's what's missing from you. That's the key thing that's missing from your mindset. If you're drunk and you're like that, that's something you need to work on when you're not drunk. Because sure, you can get drunk and then be the happy yourself, but you're still not yourself because you're drunk and you're not conscious. You might be conscious, but you're not still yourself. So what I say, work on that emotion outside of being drunk. Get tipsy once with the alcohol, get tipsy, get a little bit of drunk, not fully, and see how you are when you're drunk. You just drink once. And if you're emotional, if you're very emotional like me, think about why are you emotional? And it's I figured out because I don't show emotion, but I'm afraid to open myself up to people. But when I do, everything's good when I'm drunk. Why can't I do that in real life? And then you just work on that. You talk to yourself. You ask yourself why this, why that, and try to be more emotional in your real life. Because if your drunk self wants to be emotional, you probably want to be emotional, but you're not letting yourself because you're pushing it back. It's no, that's bad. Don't do that. Hide your emotions. You're afraid. That's what it is. You're just afraid. And when you're drunk, you're not afraid because you're not thinking about anything. You're just being you, but in a stupid way. You're not being the real you, but you're being the drunk you. And in real life, you're just being somebody else. Try to be you, not the drunk you, you. That's what I'm trying to say. And now I know everyone's going to say, oh, but what about the aggressive people? What about people who want to start fights? What, you should embrace that and start punching people on the street? No, but that's an emotion that needs to be taken care of in your real life, because that's a problem, of course. So I'm not saying go out and get drunk and beat people, but if you know you're aggressive when you're drunk, there's probably something behind in your brain that's left. I don't know, some trauma, past trauma or anger issues that you have that need to be resolved, but you don't want to resolve them because you're afraid. And then when you get drunk, that's when you resolve them. But you're drunk, so you're not thinking, and then nothing is resolved because your brain either forgets it or says, oh, I was drunk. No. So focus your aggression. If you're physically aggressive to people, join a gym, punch a bag. Just punch a bag for 2 hours a day and see if it fixes it. I don't know. Or go to a where do the people go to break stuff? The breaking stuff. There's like a business or something where they let people in and just break shit. Maybe go there. Let out your anger. You need to let out of your anger on a weekly basis. If you're very aggressive and have anger issues, you need to let them out, but in a safe environment, in a controlling environment. You have to control your emotions. So if you are aggressive, don't get drunk. Work on your aggressiveness, and I bet you'll be less aggressive when you're drunk if you work on them in real life. Because now I realize when I'm drunk, I'm less I'm not less emotionless, but it's it's just going into my real self. I'm drunk but happy, but also I'm not that emotional anymore when I'm drunk, but I'm still the real me because I worked on that in real life, and now I controlled that emotion, and now I'm basically my drunk self, and I'm myself as well. So if you want to see what's missing from your brain, get drunk. Alcohol is great. Get tequila. Tequila is the best way because you're not gonna have a hangover later. If you drink too much of it, of course, but if you drink a couple of shots to get drunk, you're not gonna get a hangover because there's science to it. I read somewhere on the article You can Google it why, but there's an article saying something like it's more like water or stuff like that. So also I saw a TikTok as well, but it's true because I did some research. So get some tequila if you don't want to get a hangover, and get drunk. See with your friends what kind of drunk you are and work on that emotion. Because if you're a mean drunk, let's say you always say mean things to people and stuff like that. I don't think you're trying to be mean. You're just trying to be truthful to other people. You're open, like you're saying how you feel about them finally. Like let's say to your friends, you're saying mean words to them. Maybe they're not that great of friends to you. You're too afraid to open up to them and tell them how you really feel, because if you want to have real people in your life, you have to be open about it, not to every person, but your best friend, your partner, your family, you have to be open to them if you want to keep them in your life. But like you can keep other people in your life, but you're not going to be you because you're not opening up to them. So if you have trouble opening up to people and saying the truth when you're drunk, that's what you have to work on as well when you're not drunk. You have to try and actually tell people how you feel, because if you lie or just hide it, they're not going to be your friends, or they're not going to know the real you, which sucks. Imagine living your whole life and nobody actually knows who you are. That's scary. So I suggest people who do that, you work on that, Please do that. Maybe if you're overhyped, you run, you do crazy stuff and stuff like that, maybe you're missing adventure in your life. Maybe you have to maybe you're a sloth in real life, watch Netflix, sit around, but when you go out, you party the shit. Like when you're drunk, you just do the maddest shit ever. Yeah, I think you have to find a hobby and not watch Netflix all the time. Maybe go for a bike ride, go mountain climbing, go skydiving. I don't know, but find a hobby that you love or to do if you are hyper and stuff like that. Maybe. Or the opposite. Maybe when you're drunk, you're just so tired and you want to sleep and stuff. Maybe sleep is missing from, maybe you're pushing too hard, in real life. Because yes, if you want to be successful, you have to work hard, but you have to know balance. Because if you overwork yourself, that's worse. You have to find balance. If you get 3 hours of sleep, no, sleep is important. Any hustler that says, oh, I sleep 4 hours, 3 hours a day, I sleep in 10-minute intervals of 2 hours. Don't know. Sleep is important. The human body needs sleep. You function better with sleep. Look, if you sleep for 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours is perfectly fine. If you sleep that much, you have 8 hours, you have 16 hours in a day to work hard, But maybe that's missing from you also when you're drunk. So just talk to yourself, man. That's the most important thing people don't want to do. They don't want to talk to themselves because it sounds stupid, but it's true. Because if you talk to your brain, it won't come back, but more questions will resolve, and then you're going to start communicating with your brain and talking to yourself about your emotions and trying to figure it out. If you don't figure out your emotions, if you don't talk to yourself, if other people tell you what to do, like I am right now, I'm saying talk to yourself so you can tell yourself. I can't tell you to change. I don't know who you are. I don't know what kind of drunk you are, but I'm giving you advice where you can think for yourself. But if people are telling you how to change and stuff like that, in details, you're not going to listen to them because that's not what you need. You need what's inside here. And the only person that knows what's inside here is you. It's you. So you have to talk to yourself and figure out what's wrong with you. And I wouldn't say what's wrong with what's missing. What's missing, what needs to be fulfilled, what will make you happier in life. And yeah, that is the episode. I love talking about getting drunk because, I don't know, I when I'm drunk, there's so many stories. I broke a 3-meter fence once. I think I slipped on a railroad. There's so many stories I can talk about. If you're interested in that, maybe I can go on a podcast, on somebody else's podcast, and just talk about my life. Because I can. There's so many stories I can tell. But I really want to talk about my mindset rather than stories. If I want to talk about stories, I'm going to talk about them with podcast guests or on other people's podcasts or in interviews. Anyways, if you do want to listen to my drunk stories and stuff like that, you can add me on Instagram, or just talk to me in general in the comments. Leave a comment in the YouTube video. Leave a rate, please, on Spotify. That helps me a lot. All ratings help me so much. Even on Apple, if you're listening on Apple, thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel on AK Mindset, also on YouTube, so you never miss anything. And I thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I love you all. Hopefully this helped you guys with alcohol and figure out who you are and what's missing from your mind, I guess. Yeah, so hopefully you can get that figured out. And yeah, it's been your boy. See ya. Bye-bye.